Hey everyone, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in to Relevant Jukebox, and today we're going to talk about the newest album from Mura Masa, R.Y.C. So this is the newest full-length album from the London-based and Grammy-winning producer Mura Masa, who won me over with his fun, eclectic mix of like electro-pop, dance, and UK hip-hop on his self-titled debut in 2017. Across that entire album, Mura Masa showed the ability to weave in some really sticky hooks and some endearing melodies, like on the songs Messy Love, One Night that featured Charlie XCX, and even Lovesick with A$AP Rocky. All of that came together and gave a vibe that was pretty warm feeling and melancholy and also upbeat. It might not have been the most cutting edge sound for the electronic genre, but it was extremely enjoyable nonetheless. After hearing the lead single to this record, No Hope Generation, it didn't exactly give me hope that he'd be expanding on those previous sounds, as it did signify a shift away from that more upbeat and like lovable electro-pop fusion into a more forlorn blend of like emo and indie pop. He incorporates a lot of acoustic guitars on this track, but the rest of the sound palettes on it were actually extremely bland in my opinion. And what might be the least appealing part about the track is the extremely melodramatic and borderline cringy lyrics that deal with a lot of addiction and depression across this generation. But still, I did want to keep an open mind going into the rest of this full-length album, because if the self-title is any indication of how Mura Masa crafts an album, there would be a lot of variety to it. Nope. I mean, unfortunately, the rest of the songs on this full length over here are actually weaker than that lead single, in my opinion. And I mean, overall, this record feels like you're sitting down with a box of chocolates that you had been given to on like Valentine's Day from someone that just dumped you, and you already ate all of your favorite flavors and you're left with the ones that you picked over, but you're just sitting there eating them anyway because you're high and depressed. This album does have a very interesting and diverse feature list on it once again, like his self-titled debut. You have the rising indie pop star Clairo on a track, one of the more explosive and hyped up rappers to come out of the UK in recent years, Slow Tie. Producer and singer Georgia Barnes is also on here, who actually just dropped her second album, Seeking Thrills, which is pretty good. I do highly suggest checking that one out. You have the indie rock outfit Wolf Alice, and possibly what is the most interesting feature on here in my opinion is the experimental R&B singer Terza. Now, I will say of the tracks on this album that I did somewhat enjoy, it was all the ones that featured these artists, because there is not a single track on here outside of those feature list tracks where Mura Masa holds his own as a singer or a songwriter, really. Like the long-winded and somewhat whiny opening cut Raw Youth Collage, the chord progression that's presented on this track isn't really an interesting one, and it is repeated throughout the entirety of it. And the spoken word vocal style on this track here just comes off way too dramatic in my opinion. Can't help but roll my eyes at this one. And the track Vicarious Living Anthem right in the middle of this album features one of the worst vocal performances I've heard in a while, actually. It sounds like he's trying to blend in a lot of influences on this track from like twee pop and like garage rock. All of the layers of effects that he puts on his vocals just completely smothers it and sounds terrible, honestly. You can't hear a word he's saying. One of the more likable cuts on here was the track Deal With It with Slow Tie. It is one of the more upbeat spots on this record and has a little bit more of a familiar sound that you would be accustomed to from Mura Masa. And Slow Tie does give a pretty fun vocal feature on here. Deal with it! And the track Today that features Terza is easily my favorite on this record. Her like smoky, abstract vocal style pairs really well actually with these watery guitars and sounds that are presented on the song. And it also features one of the more interesting progressions with more instrumentation as it gets layered in towards the end. But I mean, overall, unfortunately, I was pretty disappointed by this album. I am all for an artist exploring new sounds and boundaries on here, but the way that it comes together on this record just doesn't really stick the landing for me. The production is pretty bland and generic, and the songwriting is all over the place and less enjoyable than his previous material. The lyrics on here do deal a lot with loss, addiction, and depression, but they do come off very melodramatic in my opinion, and he's somewhat lost all of those really memorable and sticky, sweet, endearing hooks that he had woven into his original LP. So yeah, I don't know guys, with that being said, I'm feeling a 4 more over here on R.Y.C. Now, if you did like this album and you are interested in picking up on a vinyl record, there is a limited red vinyl up on his website that's autographed by him right now. So I'll leave a link down below if you guys want to grab that. And I mean, if you listen to this Mura Masa record, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching. If you're interested in album reviews and music content and you want more from me, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Peace.